The hierarchy of corruption, how devils measure success in human transgression. Which types of unethical or corrupt actions, when incited by devils and carried out by human beings, lead to reward and promotion within the satanic order and which bring no benefit to them at all? And what are the most strategically prized transgressions that devils aim to induce in humans, according to the standards of their highest authorities? To understand the internal economy of satanic influence, one must first recognize that devils do not value all corruption equally, nor do they reward every act of wrongdoing. In general, the most highly prized objectives in the worldview of devils are divided into four principal categories. First, when an individual or group becomes the initiator of a morally subversive practice, such as the normalization of sexual exploitation, the glorification of intoxication, or other behaviors that dissolve restraint, responsibility, and human dignity, thereby undermining ethical foundations and eroding collective moral consciousness. What grants such acts their decisive weight is not merely their occurrence, but their normalization, reproduction, and social transmission. Among these, the greatest status within the satanic hierarchy is given to those transgressions that institutionalize coercion, domination, and the systemic violation of human dignity. Devils who orchestrate such outcomes are rewarded with elevation in both provision and rank. Second, inciting speech or conduct that deliberately legitimizes or morally licenses theft, looting, violence, physical assault, or homicide, thereby cultivating deep-seated animosity and enduring social conflict between individuals or groups. In this category, the satanic objective extends beyond isolated harm toward the ignition of sustained hostility and reciprocal violence. Such instigations escalate into prolonged strife, recurring bloodshed, and the sustained exploitation of the oppressed. Third, neglect of divine responsibilities, hukuk Allah, a condition of spiritual disengagement marked by abandonment of worship, disregard for remembrance, and the severance of one's inward link to the divine source. From the satanic perspective, this form of corruption is especially valuable as it weakens resistance at its root and renders the individual inwardly unguarded. Fourth, actions, minor or major, that begin under the guise of righteousness but culminate in moral distortion or collective harm. Unlike open defiance, these forms of corruption operate through misdirection and moral camouflage. When such acts become socially infectious or structurally embedded, they are held in even higher esteem by devils for their ability to mask falsehood in the appearance of virtue. Summary. These are the core categories of major spiritual corruption, each of which, through gradual escalation rather than sudden collapse, leads the soul toward denial, disconnection from truth, and rebellion against the divine. May we be protected from such a descent. Non-rewarded behaviors. Not every act of wrongdoing results in satanic advancement or recognition. As for transgressive patterns that do not generate reward for devils, they include behaviors to which individuals have become psychologically conditioned, such as habitual dishonesty, routine sexual exploitation already normalized within one's behavior, addictive gambling practices, influence-based favoritism, and predatory financial manipulation. Because these behaviors have become routine, predictable, and self-perpetuating, no new provocation is required from the devil, and thus no recognition or elevation is granted within their ranks. Escalated influence. Elevation occurs only when an existing corruption is intensified, redirected, or expanded toward greater harm. If a devil incites a habitual liar to devise a falsehood that leads to bloodshed, systemic exploitation, or intensified hostility between factions, that devil is granted elevated status and additional compensation. Likewise, if someone already engaged in gambling and blasphemous or obscene speech is pushed further by their devil into carrying out an act of homicide or a grave criminal offense, the devil is rewarded with increased provision and rank within the infernal order. Modern corruption. Similarly, chronic exploiters of civic systems, those who routinely erode the ethical foundations and public trust of both their immediate moral communities and the wider human family, do not bring additional reward to their devils, since their behavior has become deeply embedded in public and administrative systems, continuing without the need for direct satanic intervention. In such cases, corruption no longer requires constant incitement. It sustains itself through structure and habit. However, If in the course of such corruption, whether through covert systems of influence, institutional favoritism, structural abuse, or betrayal of collective trust, they commit a breach against the public treasury which belongs collectively to the people, then their devil is granted an increase in sustenance and promotion in status. Such cases are not rare, but reflected in countless modern examples across the world. This hierarchy reveals that devils, much like human systems of power, operate through incentives, ranks, and calculated outcomes. Their greatest success is achieved not through isolated acts of wrongdoing, but through the gradual normalization and expansion of moral distortion across individuals and societies. Yet such influence does not unfold in abstraction. It requires receptive agents, willing collaborators, and suitable instruments through which it can be enacted and sustained. The chapter that follows turns to this crucial question: who, among jinn and human beings, becomes capable of assuming this role, and by what deviation from their original purpose does such alignment occur?